A century in the NFL, can you even imagine?
It's incredible. And the Chicago Bears, they're right there, front and center.
They didn't just witness history, they shaped it. From humble beginnings to becoming icons, the Bears' story is really the story of football itself.
Absolutely. It all starts, well, kind of humbly, actually, in Decatur, Illinois. 1919. Picture this. The Decatur Staleys.
A company team, just a group of guys playing for, well, the love of the game, right?
Exactly. Pure and simple. But here's where it gets interesting. Just a year later, they're not just playing, they're at the table, forming the NFL.
The NFL. Back then, it was the APFA, the American Professional Football Association, and it was a whole different ballgame.
Totally different. No set schedules, teams playing different numbers of games. It was the Wild West of pro football.
A far cry from the structured seasons we see now. But even in all that chaos, the Bears, or the Staleys as they were then, they almost won that very first championship.
They did. Imagine that.
Yeah.
The first ever NFL champs. It came down to the wire, but a loss to the Cardinals earlier in the season cost them.
The Cardinals. Talk about a rivalry for the ages. Some things never change, huh?
Nope, some things are just meant to be. But even without that first title, their potential was obvious. And in 1921, they made a bold move, Chicago. They became the Chicago Bears.
And the rest, as they say, is history. That move to Chicago, it wasn't just about location, it was about building a brand. They wanted a name that screamed power.
They even said it themselves, they needed something tougher than those baseball Cubs.
Love it. And they weren't messing around. That very year, 1921, they clinched their first championship.
Talk about making a statement. They were here to stay, and they wanted everyone to know it. But the real game changer, 1925 Red Grange, the Galloping Ghost.
Now that's a name that still sends chills down your spine. College superstar, signed for a record-breaking $100,000, unheard of at the time.
It was a stroke of genius by George Halas, the Bears owner. Back then, pro football was seen as, well, kind of a step down from college ball.
Halas wanted to change that. He knew Grange was the key.
And he was right. Suddenly, the Bears were selling out stadiums, bringing in fans who'd never even considered watching pro football before. Grange was a phenomenon.
A true game changer. But the Bears weren't just about flash. They were innovators on the field, too. The 1930s, they had powerhouses like Bronco Nagurski.
Nagurski, what a legend. A true embodiment of strength and power.
Right. But this is also where Halas teams up with Clark Shaughnessy, and together they unleashed the T formation. Talk about revolutionizing the game.
The T formation. A tactic born in the 1930s that's still influencing football today. It's amazing.
It really shows how the Bears shaped the game. And let's not forget what that T formation led to the 1940 championship game, 73-0.
Against the Redskins. Talk about a beatdown. They became the monsters of the Midway that day.
Dominating the game in the midst of World War II, no less.
They had 45 players enlist. That's almost the whole team. They even almost had to merge with the Cardinals just to keep the league afloat.
Dedication to their country and to the game, incredible.
Talk about resilience, right? You don't just come back from something like that without a whole lot of heart.
And they had it in spades. But you're right, those post-war years, it was a different game. The Bears faced some real challenges, a new era for the team, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The playing field was changing. Teams were catching up. New talent, new strategies. It was a different NFL.
And the Bears, they had to adapt right along with it.
Exactly. It's the natural evolution of the game. Those early years, the Bears, they were pioneers.
Shaping the game as they went.
Exactly. But then the rest of the league, they caught on. It's that constant push and pull, you know.
Makes you wonder if all those rule changes we see now, if they're just the NFL's way of keeping up with the times.
Could be. I mean, look at all the changes even since the 70s. But even with those challenges, the Bears had their moments.
They did. They had some real stars. Don't forget, in 1970, they said goodbye to Wrigley Field.
End of an era. 50 years. That's a long time to call a place home.
It is, but they moved on to Soldier Field, and they kept on fighting. In the 60s, they had Gale Sayers, the Kansas Comet.
Now, there was a player, set a rookie record in 65 with 22 touchdowns. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable. And he was playing alongside Dick Butkus. Can you imagine facing those two?
Talk about a nightmare for opposing teams.
No kidding. But this era wasn't just about the wins and the records.
You're talking about Gale Sayers and Brian Piccolo, right? Now, that was a friendship.
A story that went beyond the game.
Absolutely. Two teammates, battling injuries, facing down prejudice. Their bond was something special.
And the way they faced Piccolo's illness, it's incredibly moving.
It really is. And the Bears, they established the Brian Piccolo Cancer Research Fund in his honor.
A fitting tribute. to a remarkable man. It says a lot about the Bears, about their commitment to something bigger than just the game.
It does. And they needed that strength, that sense of purpose, because the 70s, those were some tough years. Rebuilding, regrouping, it wasn't always pretty.
It really is. But then, 1975.
Walter Payton, sweetness.
Talk about a game changer.
More than that, he changed how people saw the game. The dedication, the work ethic, pure heart.
And he wasn't just about individual glory. He led the Bears to their first playoff berth in over a decade.
1977. They didn't win it all, but it felt like a turning point.
Like they were building towards something special.
And then came Ditka. 1982, Iron Mike took over, and things were never the same.
He walked in all fire and brimstone, told the team, "Give me 3 years, and if you walk with me, we'll go to the dance."
Bold words.
But he backed them up. He knew what he wanted, and he built a team to get it.
But even dynasties have their sunset, right?
It's true. Nothing lasts forever, no matter how much we might wish it did. The late 80s, the Bears, they hit a bit of a wall.
Injuries, retirements, the competition always catches up. That's how it goes.
It's the cycle of sports. But the 87 season, that one had to sting a little extra, with Walter Payton retiring.
After 13 seasons, can you imagine? And that last game, that playoff loss to the Redskins.
He was this close to a first down, could have changed the whole game.
A true heartbreaker. And with Payton and McMahon moving on, it felt like the end of an era.
It was, but even without those iconic players, the Bears kept swinging. 1988, the Fog Bowl. Have you ever heard of a game like that?
Talk about bizarre. A playoff game against the Eagles, and you could barely see the players on the field.
Mother Nature throwing a curveball, right?
She sure did. But the Bears pulled off the win. They couldn't quite get past the 49ers that year, though.
The Niners, another team with a whole lot of history.
Absolutely. Some teams, they were just destined to be rivals. But back to the Bears, you got to hand it to Ditka. The guy was tough as nails.
1990, he comes back to coaching just 10 days after a heart attack.
That's dedication right there. He led them to the playoffs again that year, but they lost to the Giants.
The Giants, they went on to win the Super Bowl that year, if I remember correctly. But you're right about those years after the Super Bowl win. It was like the Bears were searching for that same magic.
They had their moments, some playoff runs, but it's tough to recapture that kind of lightning in a bottle.
And then Ditka's era came to an end in 92, and the search for a new identity really began.
The Wannstedt years, the Joran years, they had their ups and downs.
And then tragedy struck in 1999. The loss of Walter Payton hit everyone hard.
Way too young. But Payton, he was more than just a football player. He was an inspiration.
He was. And the Bears, they found a new defensive star in 2001, Brian Urlacher.
Talk about big shoes to fill. But he did it, became an icon in his own right.
He did, alongside guys like Lance Briggs and Charles Tillman. They brought back that hard-nosed Bears defense.
It was great to watch. And then in 2004, Lovie Smith enters the picture.
Lovie Smith, he brought a new energy to the team, a new sense of purpose.
He did. And they finally broke the Packers' hold on the division in 2005.
Sweet victory.
Absolutely. And then 2006, they were back in the Super Bowl.
Devin Hester, that opening kickoff return for a touchdown, I still get chills.
Pure magic. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite pull it off against the Colts.
Another Super Bowl just out of reach, but hey, that's football, right?
It is full of highs and lows. That's what keeps us coming back.
It sure does. And that brings us to today. The Bears, they've seen it all. The triumphs, the heartbreaks, the legends.
And through it all, one thing remains constant. The unwavering spirit of the Chicago Bears and their incredible fans.
That's what makes this team so special. Well, folks, there you have it. Another deep dive in the books. From humble beginnings to gridiron legends, the Chicago Bears have left an indelible mark on the NFL. Join us next time as we uncover more fascinating stories from the world of sports.